What if a single order of fries could uncover a lie big enough to shake the foundation of a business? What if the man ordering them wasn't just another customer, but the one who signed everyone's paychecks? That's exactly what happened. When Jacob Sutson, CEO of a 17-location diner chain, walked into store 12 and asked for something small. But what he got back wasn't just a plate of fries. It was the truth. And it hurt. 3 years ago, Jacob inherited the family business from his father. At 39, he was sharp, ambitious, and completely drowning in spreadsheets. He tried to honor the hands-on legacy his dad had built, but expansion outgrew sentiment. Somewhere along the way, the numbers became his reality. Budgets, turnover reports, store audits. He hadn't set foot in one of the diners in months. The glass walls of his office let him see everything, except what really mattered. Lately, one store kept flashing red. Store 12. Nestled near a busy highway in Millage, it was supposed to be a gold mine. But sales were stagnant, and people were quitting faster than they could be replaced. Rick, the manager, blamed it on lazy workers and shifting customer trends. Jacob read the same excuse 3 weeks in a row, and something about it didn't sit right. So he did something no regional manager expected. He went dark. He shaved the beard, dyed his hair a few shades lighter, and put on glasses so thick they distorted his eyes. A worn hoodie, old jeans, and 2 hours on the road later, he became Jake, a guy nobody would notice in the middle of a lunch rush. He slipped into store 12 just past noon on a Friday. The place was chaos. Customers stacked at tables. One waitress rushed past him twice before handing him a menu. Her name tag read, Lena. Her eyes were tired, but her smile held. "Sorry for the wait. What can I get you?" "Just fries and a soda," Jacob replied. "To stay." From his booth, he watched the line. There was one man back there. Built solid, maybe late 20s, moving like he was in 3 places at once. No backup, no rest. He was the line. Jacob counted the minutes. 15 passed before Lena returned with the plate. "Thanks for waiting," she said, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. The fries were perfect, hot, crisp, seasoned with intention. Jacob paid, then slipped out the side door into the alley behind the building, past the kitchen's hum, and waited near the dumpster. He needed to know who that cook was. A few minutes later, the cook came out, apron streaked with grease, sweat clinging to his brow. Jacob approached, casual. "Hey man, those fries were solid." The cook looked up, surprised. "Thanks. Trying to keep it decent even when it's chaos." "I'm Jake. You work here every day?" The man hesitated, then offered a handshake. "Darnell, yeah. Lately. Every day." Jacob raised an eyebrow. "That rough, huh?" Darnell let out a tired laugh. "2 people quit this week, 1 walked out mid-shift. Manager says no new hires coming, so I'm covering doubles." "Why keep pushing if you're not being forced?" That's when Darnell paused. His eyes shifted like he was weighing the truth. Then it came out quiet but solid. "My little brother's in a group home. I'm trying to get custody. Gotta show 3 months of financial stability. I'm 1 month in." Jacob blinked. That hit harder than any report could. He looked down at his receipt. In the corner, store 12. The same place Rick said was full of slackers. Jacob didn't say a word. He just sat in his car for 10 full minutes, hands still on the steering wheel, fries unfinished on the passenger seat. And in that moment, he knew. Tomorrow, he was coming back. Not to eat, to find out the truth. Jacob didn't sleep much that night. His mind kept circling the image of Darnell in the alley, apron damp with sweat, talking about his little brother like the kid's future depended on every burger flipped. Because it did. And now Jacob couldn't unsee it. Not the burnout in Lena's voice, not the missing staff on the line, and definitely not the feeling in his gut when Darnell said, "I'm 1 month in." So the next morning, Jacob showed up before sunrise. Not as himself, not in a blazer or with a clipboard. Just Jake, the new guy, the temp. He'd called a staffing agency overnight and gotten a low-level kitchen porter placement at Store 12. No one knew who he was. No one recognized him. And that's exactly what he wanted. The diner looked different at dawn. The neon sign flickered weakly. A woman in her 40s checked condiments at the counter without looking up. "You with the agency?" she asked. Jacob nodded. "Jake?" He nodded again. "Back of house. Darnell's in already. Stay out of his way. Don't touch the grill." The kitchen smelled like fryer oil and bleach, lights buzzing overhead. Darnell stood near the prep station, eyes red from chopping onions. His movements were calm, methodical, like someone already 2 hours into their day. He didn't look up. "You the temp?" Jacob kept his voice low. "Yeah, just for the week, maybe longer." Without missing a beat, Darnell shoved a crate of potatoes his way and handed over a peeler. "We go through 60 pounds a day, try to keep up." For the next hour, Jacob peeled, sliced, and rinsed. No small talk, no shortcuts, just labor. He kept his head down, eyes up, watching how Darnell ran the entire kitchen with almost military precision. Every time a new ticket popped up on the screen, Darnell moved, dropping fries, flipping patties, plating sandwiches. Not one order missed. Not one complaint shouted from the floor. At 8:30, the door at the back swung open. A tall man with a shaved head strolled in, adjusting his pristine manager's shirt by using the microwave as a mirror. He didn't say a word to anyone, just walked onto the floor. "Rick's in," Darnell muttered. "Keep your head down." By 10 a.m., the place was slammed. Maya, a waitress barely in her 20s with tired eyes and short dreadlocks tied in a bun, was juggling orders, refills, and cleanup. The other server? A teenager leaning against the POS screen, texting. Rick leaned on the counter, sipping a soda like he was watching TV. Maya called out for help. "We're backed up." Rick didn't even look up. "Tell them we're short-staffed, they'll live." The teenage server snorted and went back to his phone. Jacob bit his tongue and carried a full bus tub to the dish area. On the way back, he crossed paths with Maya. She looked like she hadn't slept in a week. "You doing okay?" he asked, low enough for only her to hear. She gave a half shrug. "I've asked for help 3 times this week. Rick says we're not budgeted for another server till next month." Jacob glanced sideways. "That true?" Maya looked him dead in the eye. "No, I saw the schedule reports. Payroll's under by 15 hours. He's pocketing it." That hit Jacob like cold water. He kept moving, heart pounding in his chest. By noon, the kitchen was breaking. The printer spat tickets nonstop. Darnell hadn't slowed since dawn. His shirt was soaked. His hands moved like clockwork, but his eyes had dulled, like his body was still going, but his soul had checked out. Then the fryer beeped. "Can you drop the next batch?" Darnell called over his shoulder. Jacob grabbed the basket. "Don't touch that," Rick barked from behind. Jacob froze. "Darnell asked me," Jacob replied. Rick stepped forward. "And I'm telling you not to. You're not trained. You get burned. We're liable." Jacob backed off. Rick turned to Darnell. "You letting the temp run your line now?" "He's helping," Darnell replied without turning. "We're behind." "Then move faster," Rick snapped, already walking away. Jacob met Darnell's eyes. "Is that normal?" Darnell just kept flipping patties. "He pushes till someone breaks, then writes them up." Jacob felt a knot form in his stomach. At 2, the lunch rush faded. Maya stood at the sink in the back, hands trembling around a plastic cup of water. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "I've worked 6 doubles in 8 days, asked for 1 day off. Rick said if I wanted time off, I could find another job." Jacob blinked. "He said that just like that?" She nodded. "He says it to everyone eventually. I'm staying because I need tips to finish nursing school, but he knows that." Jacob didn't know what to say, so he didn't. He just stepped away and walked into the break room. There was Rick, feet kicked, up on a crate of napkins, scrolling through his phone like it was a beach vacation. "You always let your best people burn out?" Jacob asked, voice casual. Rick didn't look up. "You're the temp, right?" Yeah. Then don't worry about how I run my store. You're here to rinse pans, not play hero. Jacob didn't respond, just turned and left. But he saw enough. At 4:30, a produce delivery arrived, 30 crates, heavy stuff. Rick signed the invoice and vanished into the office. Jacob and Darnell unloaded all of it alone. Onions, lettuce, potatoes. Dead weight box after box. No help. No thanks. He's been doing this lately, Darnell muttered. Says payrolls, tight. Won't pay for unload help anymore. They finished. Jacob leaned against the cooler, chest heaving. Why do you stay? He asked. Darnell wiped sweat off his brow. My brother's placement hearing is in 5 weeks. If I walk now, everything I've built disappears. He turned back to the kitchen, and just like that, he was gone again. That night, Jacob sat in his motel room with a notebook open and silence ringing in his ears. No headlines, no spreadsheets, just a broken system, and the people breaking with it. He wrote 3 words at the top of the page. They think no one sees. Then underneath, it's slower, deeper, but I do now. The next morning, the sky over Millage was a dull gray, low clouds and the scent of rain in the air. Jacob didn't pull into the parking lot as a temp. No hoodie, no fake glasses, no scratched-up jeans. This time, he wore who he really was. A fitted blazer over a pressed shirt, polished shoes, no disguise. The man who had signed the lease on this building, who approved the budgets Rick had been falsifying. The man who had been watching. When he stepped through the back door at 6:45 a.m., the room fell quiet like someone had flipped a switch. Darnell froze mid-chop, knife still in hand. Maya stood at the pass window, tray in one hand, her other hovering in the air. Rick emerged from the office, squinting like he'd seen a ghost. Can I help you? Rick asked, trying to control the edge in his voice. Jacob didn't flinch. I'm Jacob Satson, he said clearly, firmly, so that everyone could hear. I own this business, and you and I are going to have a very serious conversation. Rick opened his mouth, but whatever he meant to say got caught in his throat. Jacob turned to the others. Darnell, Maya, Lena, even the dishwasher in the back. Can you give us the room? He asked calmly. No one questioned it. Darnell nodded, set down his prep tray, and walked out. Maya followed. The door clicked shut. Behind them, Rick stayed standing, arms crossed, leaning on the edge of the desk like it was a negotiation. So, he said with a half smile, you're the man behind the curtain. Jacob didn't sit, didn't smile. You've been falsifying reports, cutting payroll hours, ignoring safety violations, and threatening staff who speak up. Rick let out a short laugh. You've been talking to the kitchen staff, huh? Look, things get messy. You can't run a place like this by following every rule to the letter. You've been pocketing labor budget, Jacob interrupted. That's not messy. That's theft. Rick's face darkened. I increased margins. Isn't that what you wanted? Bottom line up, costs down. That's what I've delivered for over a year. By exploiting people who don't have the luxury of walking away, Jacob shot back, voice tight. You didn't lead. You prayed. Rick pushed off the desk, voice rising. You think I enjoy pushing them? You want to know what happens when I ease up? They talk more than they work. They take their sweet time. This crew needs pressure or they fall apart. Jacob stepped forward, eyes steady. You're done. Rick blinked. You're serious? I've already contacted HR. You'll be escorted off the premises in 15 minutes. Rick's lips parted again, but Jacob had already turned away. Outside, the staff waited, not in a huddle, but standing separately like people used to keeping their thoughts quiet. Jacob didn't say a word as the HR rep arrived and walked Rick out. The manager didn't look at anyone on his way out, just kept his head down like a man who finally ran out of excuses. When the door shut behind him, it was like the diner exhaled for the first time in weeks. Jacob looked at them. Darnell, Maya, Lena. We've got a lot to fix, he said, his voice stripped of anything corporate. But the first step is done. Darnell nodded slowly, still holding the tray of onions he'd set down earlier. So, what now? Now, Jacob said, glancing around the quiet kitchen. I need to hear what hasn't been in any report. They moved to the break room. Lena entered last, apron still on. Jacob pulled out a chair but stayed standing. He wanted them to know this wasn't about hierarchy anymore, it was about truth. You've all been carrying this place, he said. I didn't see it. That's on me. But I'm here now. And I'm listening. Maya spoke first, her arms crossed tightly. He started cutting hours 6 months ago. Said it was temporary. Then he stopped hiring for second shifts. One server would do the job of two, and if we pushed back, he called us difficult. Lena added quietly. He changed time cards after we clocked out. We'd work 8 hours. Payroll would say 6.5. Jacob's jaw clenched. Did anyone report this? We tried, Darnell said. Jess, the other server, emailed corporate. Week later, she was gone. Said she quit, but it didn't feel like her choice. Jacob nodded slowly. That ends today. He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen. Effective immediately. There's an anonymous reporting system in place. No middle managers, no gatekeepers. Come straight to me. Maya blinked. To you? I should have had it in place already. I didn't. That's on me. Lena stepped forward. So, what happens next? We're still running short. We're still tired. You're right, Jacob said. I can't fix everything overnight, but I can start. He dialed another number. Hey, this is Jacob Setson. I need 2 senior floaters from Northside on site by 4 today. Cleared with scheduling. He hung up. You'll have help by dinner rush. Next week, we start hiring replacements for every missing role. Chandrus. Go back to what they should have been. Darnell looked at him, skeptical. And if corporate pushes back? Jacob gave a small grin. I'm the owner. There is no pushback. Lena exhaled deeply. That's a first. And the coolers, Jacob said. I saw them. Inventory system's a mess. We'll roll out a new digital tracker next week. Maya raised an eyebrow. You've seen the coolers? I've worked them, Jacob said. Undercover. Silence. Then Darnell gave a short nod. All right, so what do you need from us? Jacob met each of their eyes. 3 things, he said. First, honesty. I need to know what's broken, even if it's uncomfortable. Second, patience. It'll take a few weeks to stabilize. And third, I want to know what you want. Not just to survive, to grow. You kept this place alive. Now I want to help you thrive. Maya looked away for a second, caught off guard. I'm a semester from finishing nursing school. I just need enough to make it 3 more months. You'll have it, Jacob said. And if you need to go part-time, we'll make it work. Lena stepped up. I've been here 9 years, trained. Every new hire. Asked for management training twice, got ignored twice. You'll be in the first group when we roll out the assistant manager training next month, Jacob said. That's a promise. Finally, he turned to Darnell. The man hesitated. Jacob waited. My brother's placement hearing is in 4 weeks, Darnell said slowly. Until then, I need stability. After that, I want to stay, but I can't keep working doubles. You won't, Jacob said. Starting Monday, you're full-time. No more temp classification. No more back-to-backs. Darnell nodded, but didn't speak. Jacob stepped back, took a breath. I'm not here to make speeches. You've earned more than that. But I'll say this. He looked each of them in the eyes. You shouldn't have had to carry this place like you did. That's on me, never again. The next day, Jacob didn't leave. He showed up before sunrise, just like he had the past week. But now it wasn't undercover. There were no fake glasses or hidden agendas. He was the boss, and everyone knew it. But he didn't act like the boss they expected. He didn't take the manager's office. He didn't bark orders. Instead, he tied on an apron and stepped behind the line. At 6:10 a.m., the kitchen lights flickered on. Darnell was already at the prep table, stretching his shoulder carefully after a rough shift unloading crates the day before. Jacob caught the motion. You good? He asked. Darnell rolled the joint slowly. Took a hit unloading yesterday's shipment. Wasn't packed right. Box shifted when I grabbed it. You're not touching the grill today, Jacob said, pointing to the sink. Do prep and fridge rotation. I'll take the line. Darnell raised an eyebrow. You sure? You've been out of a kitchen longer than me. Jacob smiled, tying his apron tighter. I've still got the hands. By 9 a.m., the orders were flying in. Jacob moved quickly behind the flat top, calling. Out tickets, plating sandwiches, wiping down the counter between drops. He wasn't fast like Darnell, but he was steady. And more importantly, he was present. At 10:17 a.m., Lena leaned through the pass window with a frown. Guy at table 4 says his order's wrong again, she said. He's eaten half. Jacob paused. Same one who made Maya cry last week? Same guy. He untied his apron and stepped out through the swinging kitchen door. A heavy-set man in his 50s sat in the booth, arms crossed, glaring at his half-eaten plate like it had personally insulted him. You the manager? He asked, not bothering to make eye contact. I'm the owner, Jacob said evenly, and you've got a habit of yelling at my staff. The man blinked, then smirked. They keep messing up. You've ordered the same thing 3 times this week, Jacob continued. No substitutions, same booth, same complaints, and every time you wait until you're almost done eating before saying a word. I'm a paying customer, and I'm telling you, if you speak to my staff like that again, you'll need to find another place to eat. The man's chair screeched back. This is ridiculous. You're welcome to leave, Jacob said, stepping aside. The man left without another word. A few minutes later, Maya passed Jacob near the drink station carrying a tray of glasses. That was the first time anyone stood up to him. Jacob nodded. Won't be the last. By lunch, the floaters had arrived from Northside. They moved in like second wind, easing the pressure on Maya, helping with drink runs, covering, dish breaks. The kitchen felt less like a ticking bomb and more like a team. Jacob watched it all carefully. The rhythms, the pacing, the gaps still left behind. He saw Maya step into a quiet leadership role, reorganizing server assignments, communicating, calmly during rushes. He noticed Lena mentoring the teenage server, showing him how to pace table checks, how not to drown in side work. At 2 p.m., Jacob called a team huddle in the break room. He stood at the front, clipboard in hand, but he didn't look at it. 3 updates, he said. First, the new hiring push goes live tomorrow. We're looking for 2 kitchen staff, 1 server, and an overnight cleaner. And here's the twist. Every applicant gets screened by 3 people, Darnell, Maya, and Lena, before they even make it to me. Maya raised a brow. We're screening too? You know what this place needs better than I do. Jacob said, I trust your judgment. Darnell leaned back against the wall, arms crossed. What's number 2? I met with Regional this morning. We're upgrading the back storage area. Better lighting, new shelving, no more crates stacked on slanted pallets. Lena nodded. That's been overdue. And third, Jacob continued. I've approved a temporary bonus. Everyone who stayed through the last 60 days gets a one-time payout. It's not a fix, but it's a start. Maya opened her mouth, then closed it again. Jacob waited. She finally said, I've never seen anyone do that. Not here. Jacob gave her a quiet nod. You've earned more than recognition. That night, after the second dinner rush had settled, Jacob stepped out behind the diner. Darnell joined him sipping from a bottle of water, his shirt damp with effort. My brother's caseworker called, Darnell said. Said the judge reviewed my work record. It shows consistent income, stable hours. Said it looks good. Jacob smiled. That's what we wanted. I'm not used to things going right, Darnell admitted. Feels like waiting for something to snap. Jacob looked out across the empty lot. I know that feeling, but sometimes things get better, because people insist they should. After a few minutes, Darnell headed back inside. Jacob stayed, behind, just breathing in the night air, thinking about how far they'd come and how far they still had to go. 3 days later, a new applicant showed up. Late 20s, confident posture, resume filled with experience. Maya interviewed her in, The back booth. Darnell joined without being asked. Afterward, Jacob walked by. She talks over people, Maya said. Didn't listen when we explained the order path. Wouldn't trust her during a rush, Darnell added. Jacob nodded. Then she's not a fit. 2 more interviews. Then they found her. A single mom with 6 years of kitchen experience. Calm. Focused. She didn't pretend to know everything, but she asked the right questions. Darnell gave her a green light. Lena volunteered to train her. By the 2nd week, payroll had stabilized. The new system tracked shifts, flagged time card edits, and sent alerts directly to Jacob. No more funny math. Breaks became real breaks. Staff started eating together again, 10-minute pauses with shared meals and low laughter. It wasn't perfect, but it was healing. Maya turned in her final tuition payment. Lena completed her first management training module. Darnell's little brother moved into a small apartment 3 blocks away. Jacob stopped coming every day, not because he didn't care, but because he didn't need to hover anymore. They had this. Still, he showed up twice a week. No announcement, no clipboard. Sometimes he just sat at the counter and ordered a plate of fries. When the plate came, hot, crisp, perfectly salted, he'd leave a tip twice the size of the bill, not for the fries, for the people who made them. And as he watched them move, fast, confident, lighter somehow, he thought quietly to himself, I don't come here to watch anymore. He smiled. I come here to remember. The diner had settled into a new rhythm. It wasn't perfect. There were still off days, late deliveries, and messy tables. But there was something deeper in the air now. Respect. Relief. A quiet kind of pride. And Jacob? He kept showing up, not to manage, not to micromanage, but just to witness. Sitting at the counter, sipping coffee, Jacob would watch as Maya coordinated the morning flow like a conductor, her face calmer now that the constant threat of losing her job had faded. He'd see Darnell smile between orders, knowing his brother was only blocks away, sleeping in a safe bed because the system finally worked in their favor. Lena moved with new confidence, coaching new hires, carrying a tablet loaded with her first completed manager module. She wasn't just the veteran anymore. She was becoming the leader she'd been denied the title for year after year. The broken parts had been exposed, the fear, the silence, the quiet exploitation hiding behind a manager's polite smile. All of it brought into the light, and in its place, dignity restored. Not just paychecks and policies, but belief. The staff finally felt like someone was on their side. Jacob leaned back, watching a new server handle a rush with shaky hands. Lena stepped beside him, whispering quick coaching advice. The kid nodded, recovered, got back to it. Jacob smiled. This was never about fries, he thought. It was about people no one asked about until it was almost too late. But it was more than just a story with a happy ending, because Store 12 was just one out of 17. And if this much could go wrong under one roof, what about the others? What? Corners were being cut? What truths were being buried? What other Darnells were grinding in silence? Jacob stepped outside into the cool air, looking up at the faded signage above the door. The kind of place drivers passed without noticing. But inside, lives were being held together by thread and hope. Fixing the store was step 1, he said to himself, the wind tugging gently at his shirt collar. There are 16 more, and not all of them will welcome me. He took out his phone, opened the company dashboard, and tapped on the map of the other locations. I'm not done. He stared at the screen, eyes sharp again, focused. And if you've ever been overlooked, underpaid, underestimated, he looked back through the glass at the people inside, still moving, still showing up, still building something worth fighting for. You won't want to miss what comes next.